I went through a podcast called Speakeasy, and it has Emmanuel Acho on it. He was a linebacker in the NFL. LeSean McCoy, as we all know, shady. And Kieran Hickey Semple. I don't know who this guy is, and he shouldn't be speaking. I wanted to get into this because there was something that came out recently. As a matter of fact, Russell Westbrook came out with a book. And he mentioned something that I really wanted to get into. And here's the story. Russell Westbrook calls out LeBron James' fake new book excerpt about Lakers fallout. Now, Russell Westbrook was with the Lakers for about 2 years. And I wanted to get into what these guys said, and I'm going to attack it.
I look at Barkley.
Yeah.
I look at dudes like Patrick Ewing.
Yeah.
I could name you cats that was super nice, but I go with MJ.
Let me ask you this.
You know what, yo? I can't beat MJ. I can't beat him. Let me join him. Let me just join him.
Look.
Let me just join Michael Jordan. I'm gonna win me a championship.
But let me ask you this.
Right or no?
But I see that's why. Let me ask you this though, because we always overlook not prime Shaq, but prime adjacent Shaq joined D Wade. If D Wade ain't in Miami, Shaq not going to Miami. If D Wade was in Cleveland, Shaq's not going to go play in Cleveland, leaving LA and go live in Cleveland and Strongsville, Ohio. Shaq joins D Wade. D Wade wins a chip, but we don't ever say nothing about that. It's just what it was.
Is that the same?
Well, okay, now I'm going to attack this. LeBron James is in Cleveland, and Shaq is free, and he wanted to go and win a chip. You don't think Shaq goes to Cleveland and wins a championship with LeBron, and he just decides to jump with Dwayne Wade? At the time that Dwayne Wade was really starting to break out as a player, LeBron was already broken. He was still LeBron was one of the top elite players in the league when Dwayne Wade was starting to make a mark on himself, if you remember. Think about it this way. And you go back and you bring up Shaq. Well, if Shaq went to this team, or he wouldn't have went to Cleveland if LeBron wasn't there. Oh, how do we know what Shaq would have done? Shaq wanted to win without Kobe. And Kobe was never leaving the Lakers. And the Lakers knew that Kobe was the youthful player. He was the young player. They had to move on from one player to the other. And they felt that Kobe was the guy they were going to lean on as the young player. That was the only reason why Shaq left. And if you ask anybody, who was the better player on those 3 championships? Well, go look at the MVPs. Go look who won the MVPs on the finals. That was Shaquille O'Neal, all 3 times. If you look at who was the better player of that franchise at that time, it wasn't Kobe Bryant. It was Shaquille O'Neal. They went on and talked about players like Tim Duncan and growing the team that they grew. If you go back and you look at Tim Duncan and the way the Spurs built that organization when David Robinson left, they built it through the draft. It was different. They knew how to draft. If you look at all the guys, Tony Parker was a late first-round draft pick. Manu Ginobili was a second-round draft pick. Then you bring in Kawhi Leonard. Kawhi Leonard was drafted in the middle of the first round. He was drafted from San Diego State, okay? When they brought up this concept and they brought up, well, they won championships. How was LeBron going to compete? Well, and then they brought up the Paul Pierce Celtics, and they said, well, look at Kevin Garnett. They combined forces over there, and they brought Ray Allen. Okay, well, first of all, they traded for Kevin Garnett, did they not? He didn't go to free agency. They traded for him. They traded for Ray Allen, right? Am I mistaken that? They brought in these players. Ray Allen was there first, and then I don't know if Ray Allen came in free agency. I'm not positive on that, but they brought Kevin Garnett. He was traded for. And they only won 1 chip. They won 1 championship, okay? When LeBron James went to Miami to combine forces with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, he knew he was going to win multiple chips. And the only reason why they didn't win 3 chips is because the first year they were trying to figure each other out, and they bumped into a jigsaw puzzle of the Dallas Mavericks with an old Jason Kidd and, a guy that overachieved, yes, as they called it, Dirk Nowitzki. And he and Dirk Nowitzki and the Dallas Mavericks and Rick Carlisle, who is now with the Indiana Pacers, ran through that Miami Heat team. To come out, and listen, these guys are football players, and I'm going to give a shout out to Shade McCoy. Love him, followed him, and I want to give a shout out to him. I love your takes. I agree with everything that you had to say. And he's absolutely right. Patrick Ewing could have joined Michael Jordan. He could have. Patrick Ewing never could get over the hump because he could never beat Jordan. If you look at it, the only reason why Elijah won back-to-back championships is because Michael Jordan retired. He retired when his father died to go play baseball for 2 years. And then he realized he wasn't much of a baseball player, and he went back because of B.J. Armstrong suckered him to come and practice with the team. Guys, don't try to call me out on basketball. Basketball is my favorite sport. And you want to come out, you want to attack, and you want to make it okay for what LeBron James did to Russell Westbrook? Russell Westbrook is not an overachiever. Russell Westbrook, in the last 25 years, is one of the greatest players the NBA has ever seen. Everybody talks about James Harden. Everybody talks about guys like Kevin Durant and LeBron James and Chris Paul. You're going to tell me Russell Westbrook isn't as good as these guys? You're going to tell me that when he averaged a triple-double back-to-back-to-back years, you can't compare any of the great things that LeBron James did? And he won chips, and I know Russ never won a championship. And that has a lot to do with what he decided to do. Kevin Durant decided to leave OKC to go win chips with Golden State. Let me ask you a question. As great as Kevin Durant is, as much he's loved by everybody, and how he's one of the top 10 greatest players of all time, which everybody puts. Or how about Steph Curry? Let me ask you a question. How many championships has Steph Curry won without Kevin Durant? He won 2. Now think about it this way. And I'm trying to hit on all cylinders on this. Steph Curry played with Klay Thompson, who's a Hall of Famer. Draymond Green is a Hall of Famer. Steve Kerr is a Hall of Famer coach, right? Not right now, right? Are we on? You have Wiggins, who at the point of his top end play, he was one of the best defensive players at his position and a good fourth player on a roster. You look at those rosters, those Golden State Warriors rosters without Kevin Durant, they had more depth than they did with Kevin Durant on the roster. Okay? And to go back to this, and go back to LeBron James. LeBron James left. He went to make another 3-team, what do they call it?
Super team.
Super team over there with Cleveland. How many championships did they bring home after that? They brought him 1. And who did they beat in the finals?
The Warriors.
The Golden State Warriors. And if we go back in time on who hit the big shots in those games, was it LeBron James? It was Kyrie Irving. So going back to LeBron's quote-unquote greatness and why LeBron James is considered a top 3 player of all time and why LeBron James decided to jump ship from one place to another, LeBron James, I'm going to read stuff off to you guys. That LeBron James, they say LeBron James never spoke bad. He's not Russell Westbrook. He doesn't come out nonchalantly and throw players under the bus. Okay. Well, this is something that I wanted to read off to you guys because they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Infamously tweeted in 2015, widely believed attack at Kevin Love. Criticized his difficulty fitting into a new role with the Cleveland Cavaliers. That's just one. That's not the other stuff that he said about Kyrie Irving after he left and Kyrie Irving decided to flee and leave LeBron James because he couldn't stand LeBron James. And then when he realized that LeBron James was the way he was as a leader, when he went to the Celtics, realized he should have stayed with LeBron James because he could have won more championships. He didn't realize how much pressure he had on him, less pressure he had on him at not being a leader to go to the Celtics, and realized that he should have stayed with the Cleveland Cavaliers. What I'm trying to say here, and what I'm really attacking here with what Emmanuel Acho said and Kieran Hickey-Semple said to LeSean McCoy is, when you speak about something that you really know nothing about, and you bring up Michael Jordan, and you bring up players of this magnitude, and you're trying to compare LeBron James and saying that LeBron James would have never won championships if he stayed in Cleveland, that's false advertisement. Because Michael Jordan never left. He won how many championships? 6. Greatness. We're talking about LeBron wants to be considered better than Michael Jordan. Did he not say that? His own wife and children at the ESPY Awards came out and said, the greatest basketball player of all time. Well, if you're the greatest basketball player of all time, LeBron, why didn't you play for one team and stay on one team to win championships? Why did you decide to flee? And you didn't just go to one place. You went to multiple places to win championships. Let's see. You went to Miami to win 2. You went back to Cleveland to win 1. And then you went to the Lakers to win another. Okay? Michael Jordan ever do that? Magic Johnson ever do that? Larry Bird ever do that? Where Elijah Wan ever do that? Do you want me to go on? Tim Duncan ever do that? Let's go on and on and on. You want to talk about greatness? You want to compare yourself to the greatest basketball players of all time. And you want to say that you are the greatest of all time. LeBron, and you guys, you idiots. Emmanuel Acho, you come out and you're an ex-football player, great for you. And I'm not going to attack Shady McCoy because Shady McCoy and me agree with everything that we both agreed to on what he was saying. You cannot tell me that LeBron James is the greatest basketball player of all time. And by the way, you put Steph Curry in the top 10. Now, I've got to give Steph Curry a little bit of credit. Steph Curry has not fled to go to play with other teams to win championships. Steph Curry decided to stay with one, the Golden State Warriors. You want to know my honest opinion to it? If you were to ask me right now, is LeBron a top 3 greatest player of all time? Absolutely. Absolutely. But it's not because he stayed with one organization to win with that organization and show his greatness. No. He is one of the greatest players of all time because he built statistics to compare himself better than the great players like Karl Malone. Did Karl Malone ever win a championship? No. Did he go to the Lakers to try to win a ring? Yes. Did he win a ring? No. John Stockton, did he ever go anywhere else besides the Utah Jazz? Did he ever win a ring? No. I'm giving you players that stayed or didn't win with other teams. Now, Gary Payton tried to do that too. Gary Payton went to the Lakers for 1 year to win a title. I remember. It didn't work out for him. Gary Payton never won a championship with the Seattle Supersonics. I'm pretty sure he never won. They went to a championship, but they never won. Him and Sean Kemp never won a championship together. So the fact here is when Manny Ocho and Acho, whatever his name is, and LeSean McCoy and Kieran Hickey Semple come up and they are attacking and they're saying that Russell Westbrook, he speaks, he's so overtoned, he overachieved. Here's what I'm going to say. Russell Westbrook might not be a top 10 greatest player of all time. Might not be a top 10 guard of all time. But Russell Westbrook didn't overachieve. Russell Westbrook was the closest thing to Oscar Robertson in 50 years. To say that's overachieving tells me how much you know about basketball. And that's my take to that. Speakeasies, I listen to their show. I think it's an interesting show. I disagree with everything they said except LeSean McCoy. I disagree with every take they had. You brought up Tim Duncan. You brought up all these other guys. And Tim Duncan never left the Spurs. Michael Jordan never left the Bulls. Kobe Bryant never left the Lakers. And all these guys, I don't even put Kobe in the top 10 of all time. Honestly, I would give Kobe a little bit more credit than he deserves because of the fact he stayed with the Lakers.
You don't have Kobe in the top 10?
No, I have Kobe 15 or 16 in my rankings. When I looked at my rankings over the years, because there's so many great players, dude. If you think about decades, and people forget it, Bill Russell was there. Wilt Chamberlain was there. Shaquille O'Neal was the best player on those Laker teams when they won 3 titles. He just was. And he changed the game. He was the diesel. He was the most dominant player in the league at one point for 5 years. Was Kobe Bryant really the best player in the league when he was at his prime? I don't think he was. Because at the time where he was at his prime, LeBron James was in the league. Michael Jordan was in the league before. As soon as Michael Jordan retired, LeBron James was in the league. So, and then you had Tim Duncan. And you had all these other great players. So you were to ask me right now, was Kobe ever the best player in the league? I would say he's won how many MVPs? 1 or 2? I could probably tell you even the times that he won those MVPs that LeBron James was the better player. So that's just my opinion. Now, people can argue that, but I just think that Kobe was great, but I wouldn't put him in my top 10. I wouldn't, because there's just so many great players and so many. I would put Elijah on there. Tim Duncan definitely was there. I mean, everybody gives all the credit to coaching and all of that. Popovich was a great coach. Let me ask you a question. Did Popovich ever go back to the finals when Tim Duncan left and retired? Never. He never even made it to the Western Conference Finals. Never. After Tim Duncan retired. So it just tells you how great Tim Duncan was and how much of a dominant player he was at his position and considered the greatest power forward to ever play in the game. So I disagree with every one of their takes. And to say that Russell Westbrook was an overachiever. If Russell Westbrook's an overachiever, so is James Harden, so is Kevin Durant, because Kevin Durant never wins a championship if he doesn't go to Golden State. James Harden's never won a championship, and he's considered one of the top 20 players of all time. You're going to tell me Russell Westbrook is not as good as James Harden? That's a joke. Just say. That's all I got to say about that. So that's my take on the speakeasy take on LeBron James, the footage, the thoughts of LeBron James. They have a love fest for LeBron James. I like LeBron James as a player. Personally, I have nothing against his game. I call the NBA the LJA. I just think it's horrible to listen to the garbage that I've listened over the years in comparison to him and comparing him to Michael Jordan. There is no comparison to him, Michael Jordan, because Michael Jordan never fleed. And by the way, when Michael Jordan left and he came back for Washington, the only reason why he came back to play with Washington, I know everybody's going to say, well, he played for Washington. The only reason why he came back to play for Washington is because the Bulls in 99, in the strike year, he wanted Scottie Pippen to come back, and they were never bringing Scottie Pippen back. Management never wanted Scottie Pippen back, and that's why they moved him to Portland. If you guys think I don't know basketball, I know basketball. The organization wanted to get rid of Scottie Pippen for 2 or 3 years before that, but because they were winning, they couldn't. And when Michael Jordan said that 98 was his final year because of the Scottie Pippen contract and that the organization wasn't going to bring him back, Michael Jordan was never going to go back and play for the Chicago Bulls. And I'm going to tell you this right now. If Michael Jordan stayed with the Chicago Bulls for 99 and 2000, they win another 2 titles, and they win 8 in a row. And if he didn't retire those 2 years, they would have won 10 in a row. That is how dominant Michael Jordan was. So, there you go, guys. That's my take. That's my poll. Kiss my ass and try to take names and numbers at the time that you are.